Hello, and welcome to the third video about creating a Flask app that depends on a regular CSV file or spreadsheet for all its data. So we're focused now on finishing out our template. And this is where we ended at the end of the second video. And you'll notice that all the data on the page is about George Washington, who is president number 1, as per our route in the browser address bar, but we don't have the picture of George Washington, obviously. Wrong president. So the first thing we'll do in this video is make the images for the president come in correctly. So if you want to follow along and you don't have the template, the unfinished template from the previous video, I've stored it as a gist for you, and you can find the link to this gist in the comments below the YouTube video. So this is where we currently are with that image, and I'm going to switch over to my code editor, and we're going to address that first. So you'll recall that our template is a complete HTML file from top to bottom. And the image has a class on it from our attached style sheet that makes it float to the right. And right now we are getting the image out of the static folder, which is part of a Flask app, but we only have one image in there right now. And we really need 45 because we have 45 presidents. So the first thing I need to do is take a folder full of images and put the whole folder inside that static folder, okay? Because all static files, including JavaScript, CSS, and images, must be inside that static folder for the Flask app to work. So I have that folder on elsewhere on my computer, and I have copied it, and I'm going to paste it in here. And you can see it's got 45 images, and the file sizes are not too bad. I've compressed them a lot. And we can delete our one lonely image because we're not going to be using that one anymore. And you'll see the images also are showing up inside my code editor, Atom. So now I've got to fix this, and I do need to put the folder name first, right? So if I did that, I would be getting only that one image, which is now inside the folder. Okay, fine, but I need to add a placeholder, just like the placeholders that are inside the text, that's going to bring in that file. And how am I going to do that for an image? Well, if you'll recall from the spreadsheet, in the spreadsheet, we actually do have a column for the image file names. So I can bring that in from the dictionary for the particular president, and then it will read the name of that file right into the template. So step 1 is to remove the hardwired file name. And step 2 is to think about, what am I doing with these quotation marks holding a string, which I need, and the closing parenthesis, which has to enclose the arguments for the function named URL4. So I can't go outside those parentheses, all right? So what I'm going to do is paste in this right here, pres bracket, quote, image, quote, bracket. That is the key from our dictionary that's going to bring in the file name of the image. But just notice where the quotation marks are around the name of the key inside the square brackets. They are not around the outside of this dictionary name and key, which is a variable, not a string. So it's very important that you style this the right way or things won't work. And this is not 2 lines, it's all 1 line, so don't put any hard return in there. I can close up that one space. So this should now work for every president we've got. And if I reload, I now have the correct portrait. And let me go back to the top of our server, the root, and let's pick another guy. Thomas Jefferson, correct guy. John Adams, they're also handsome. Correct person, right? So I'm doing just fine now. And also, let's pull in another president. All right, everybody's coming in, right? So if I happen to know the number of a president, I could just change it up here in the URL. So what remains to be fixed in our president detail page, right? One president, details about one president. We've got everything we need in the head. We've got a title that says the name of the president. We have fixed our single image. We have keys that pull in values from the dictionary in our single paragraph. And here we go. Let's go to this link that goes out to a Wikipedia entry for this president. We already have the correct name of the president inserted into the sentence, and the whole sentence is a link because of the A element, but we need to put something real in here. So we need a complete Wikipedia URL because this is a real link going to another website. But do we have that link for each president? And is it a complete URL or is it a partial URL? So to find out, we need to consult our data source, which in this case is the CSV. So let's look for the Wikipedia link. Here we go. Here's the column. It seems that I have a complete URL. So all I need to put in between the quotation marks for the value of the href is the dictionary key that leads to this particular item, right? This particular value. So to save myself typing, I'm going to copy one of the placeholders I already have. I am going to carefully put it between the quotation marks because I must keep the quotation marks that normally go with an href. And this has to match my column heading, which was this. So let us save and we can reload whoever we've got and see if we go to Wikipedia. And if we go back and try another president, okay then, all our Wikipedia links are working. So we've only got one thing left to fix or to alter in our president.html template. And that is this final link or URL. It's a local URL, right? A relative URL that goes to a page within our Flask app. So this, what we've got right now, that is never going to work in a Flask app. This is important, right? Because this can really come back to bite you later. You don't have any page named index.html. Even if you have a template named index.html, you do not have a page, right? Because a template is not the same as a page in a structure on a website. So if we look at the Flask app, right, there's not any index.html in there. There is a president.html, right? We've got that in the code, and we've got that over here in the templates. We will eventually have a template named index.html in this app, but we're not going to ever use that. So what we actually need in place of index.html is another Jinja placeholder with an instruction just like we had for static, but this one is for an internal URL not going into the static folder. So what we're going to put in there, in between the quotation marks following href equals, I'm going to paste this, URL for index. Index is a string, so it has to be in quotes, but it is not equivalent to index.html. So I want to show you specifically what does that string index actually point to in a Flask app. Let me save that page and switch over to our app. That URL for refers to the name of a function, a route function. Note, it does not refer to the thing that the route has as an argument. It's not referring to that. It refers to the name of some function. So when you have that URL for in your template, you have to point to a specific function that is going to, whatever it does. It doesn't matter what it does, but you need to name the function that you want to run when that URL is sent as an HTTP request to the server. So we have a function named index that does stuff, right? Right now it doesn't even call a template at all. And so what we're doing in here, we're saying URL for index the function in our Flask app. So let's reload a page and test that. So we'll reload George, and we'll click the link that says return to the list, and it sends us to our list, as ugly and plain as it is, right? And if we go to Thomas Jefferson, because the template applies to everything, return to the list. John Adams, return to the list. So at this point, our template for the presidents is completely finished in a basic way. There are some other things I've done to this template that include testing certain conditions for each president, such as, is this president still in office? If so, do not say when he left office. Is this president alive or dead? Write a sentence if this president has died, but do not write that sentence if the president has not died. Where you can learn all about those conditionals that are embedded into the middle of a paragraph in our template is here in this documentation. And if we look at the president's templates and we scroll down to presidents, right, you are going to see those conditionals highlighted. There's one and there's another. They are explained in the text here. I am not going to include them in the video. To see how this works in the live app, you can look at any president who has died. You can look at a president who has died in office, such as President Kennedy. Only presidents who died in office will have that sentence. And you can look at the current president, and you can see that it says nothing about his having left office because he's still in office. So you don't have that sentence. Whereas anyone who has left office will have a sentence to that effect. So that is what the if, elif, else will do within the template. It's a pretty cool thing to figure out so that you can include it in your own Flask apps if it makes sense for your app. So our president's template for the purpose of this tutorial is completely finished. In the next video, we're going to address this ugly page and create a list from our dictionary of all the presidents so that people can choose whichever president they want by name.